Hello everyone. I hope you all are doing extremely great. Welcome to the today Azure Developer Community session. We are back again here with some amazing stuff, informative stuff for you all around the Azure. And today we are going to talk about what is serverless, and there is a lot of buzz going around regarding the serverless and Azure functions and how you can just get started with. And for today's session, we are having Sri Muralidharan Deendarayalan sir. So he will be talking about Azure function, how to get started with Azure function, what is serverless and how you can just get started with it, how it is beginner friendly, what are the use cases of Azure function. It's just kind of an introductory session. So you can just, take a crux of it and you can just implement those things. And in case you feel any kind of doubts or right now or after this session also, this is kind of series that you can participate in, and you can just ask your doubts in the next session also if you face any doubt. So let me just quickly introduce Mulli sir. So he's associate director software and innovation at Quanticate. So over to you, sir.
Thanks, Lakshit. Okay, so let me share my screen.
Sure, sir.
So hope
Yes,
you are
sir,
able
it's
to see my
visible.
screen. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
so
Hi, friends. So today, good evening. So today we'll be seeing introduction about the serverless computing. So I'm not going to take any deep dive of the technical section. So this is just an introduction about the serverless computing. So I'm Murli. So I'm working as associate director software innovation team at Quanticate. So here are my social media links. So you can connect with me. Okay, in today's agenda, so we will be seeing what is serverless. Okay, so how it is evolved, and we will see how the serverless works in nature, and we will be seeing some of the advantages as well as the disadvantages of the serverless. And so, though the serverless is good, but there are some places where serverless will not be in a good fate. So we will be discussing that as well. Then finally, we will be seeing in a different serverless solutions implementations from the different cloud vendors as well. So let's begin. So what is serverless? So serverless doesn't mean that the server itself it is not there, or it is stored somewhere, or it is hidden or something like that. So that is the kind of a confusion. So why the name itself it is called serverless, okay, or the serverless very less, or it's a minimal. So what exactly the serverless? So serverless is okay. So we'll, instead of discussing about the serverless, we'll go back in one step above. So in a lot of places we'll be talking about the concept called a wireless. Okay, so we'll be saying, okay, you connect with the wireless network or something. So what it means, so there are wires. So the wires comes till the our router or the Wi-Fi router itself, correct? So then we will be connecting to the router. So the connection between the router as well as to the our mobile device or any other devices, the connection is in a wireless. Okay, so that's the reason we are calling it a wireless connection. Okay, so likewise the serverless connection also it's very similar. Okay, the servers are exist, but the communication or the management between me or ourselves to the server, there is no direct interaction. So that's why in simple terms we'll say it's a serverless. Okay, so what exactly serverless is do? So serverless enables the developers to focus only on the business logic. Okay, so instead of maintaining or creating, virtualizing the server or installing the OS or nothing like that. So someone will give the server, you deploy your code, and that's done. So the installing, rebooting, updating the Windows or the operating system updates that will be taken by someone else. So that's called the serverless. So exactly what exactly the serverless explanations. Okay, so serverless computing is a cloud native platform for short running stateless computation and event driven applications with scalability and pay for the resource use. Okay, so the serverless is mainly used for the short running. So if you are running in a function or an event that runs for 15-20 minutes, then serverless is not a correct fit. So your code should be executed very quickly, and it's called a short running. So it should be written your results within a milliseconds or in seconds. Okay, and it's stateless. Okay, so when you are requesting the first request and the second request, there is no connection between these two requests. That's called it's stateless computations and event driven applications. So to invoke any serverless function, or any or serverless code, so you need to have an event driven. Okay, so that needs to be, that code can be called by an event driven and with the scalability in mind. So that means, so when there are a lot of requests comes to your serverless code, then automatically your cloud provider will do a scale up everything. So he will allocate more resources to you, and once all the process has been done, then automatically they will do the scale down as well. And the main important another one more point is you will be paying for the resource that you have used. So till the execution of the function or the code, you will be paying for it. So you will not paying for the entire virtual machine. So you will be using only the time that your resource has used it. Okay, so that's the main advantages of the serverless. Okay, so traditionally what we will be doing is, so when we want to install or host an application, so we will be creating a virtual machines, then we will be deploying our code, then there will be a database server, then the application will be running on a different server, the database will run on a different server. So though the application is not used very effectively, still we will be paying for the virtual machines for both the application server as well as the database server. Whereas in the serverless world, so you will be paying only the time that you have used it. So you will not pay for the entire lifetime. For example, if your function executes for 2 minutes, okay, then you will be paying for only for the 2 minutes, not for the 24 hours. Okay, so how the serverless evolved. So initially what we do is, so we will be hosting our applications either in our on-premises network or someone in the cloud network. So in remote data centers, we will be using it. Then our application will be used the host address, and it will get the website address. Then everyone will be accessing it from the outside. Okay, so that is the way it was accessed. This is called a non-cloud environment. So whereas the in the local network, so we have to maintain our application, or the infrastructure team will maintain all the OS updates and everything. If your application is needs in the latest version of the operating system, then you need to contact the infrastructure team to get updated everything. So a lot of maintenance activity was there. Okay, so if you go for a remote data center, okay, so we have to connect the applications via remote network, and we have to see all the compatibility issues. Then there is a cost involved because we need to pay for the resources whatever that we have used it. Okay, then we have the infrastructure as a service where we got the entire virtual machines. We'll be installing it. We have to manually maintain all the operating system patches, any software version patches, everything we have to do it. And if there is any lot of requests comes, then we have to maintain a multiple virtual machines and control it via a load balancer. These are the things that are handled by the infrastructure as a service. Then we got the platform as a service. Okay, so in the platform service, so we can easily scale down or scale up the resources, and we can pay. The only drawback is, though the virtual machine or the platform service is not used for a long time, still we need to pay for the ideal timings as well. Whereas in the serverless world, so it is doing an auto scale, and you pay for the seconds what you have used it. So if you are using a function for 30 seconds, then you will be paying for the 30 seconds. All these solutions comes from the cloud vendors. Okay, so how the serverless works. So I have taken a very simple example of the Azure Functions. So there will be a code, and there will be an event will be triggered with a set of data, and the code will be executed. Then the results will be sent back to the caller. So that's the way the serverless function or the serverless works. Okay, whatever, whether it's a serverless or logic apps, the working pattern will be very similar, but the way of execution and the nature of the technology is slightly different. Okay, so what are the advantages of the serverless? Okay, so there will be a faster development. So as a developer, so we need to focus only on the business logic as well as what kind of logic that we are going to implement, or whether we are going to use any third party, how we can access the third party libraries. So we'll be focusing only on the development side. We no need to take care of is what kind of operating system that we are going to install, what is the framework version that we are going to use it, who will be maintaining the network, everything, nothing we no need to worry. So we need to focus only on the development, so the development will be faster and quick deployment. So as it goes is the deployment. So the whenever we build an application for the serverless, there will be multiple deployment modes. Then we can easily use the deployments. So that's also very quick. We no need to go for a lot of approvals. If it's an on-premises, then we need to wait for someone from the infrastructure team or the DevOps side to approve and deploy. So this will be very straightforward deployment. And the important feature is dynamically scalable architecture. So when your Azure function or when a function executes, okay, when a serverless code executes, if there are a lot of requests comes into this particular serverless code, then we have an option for dynamically scale up. Okay, so we no need to configure anything specifically, automatically from the cloud service vendor side. So the application will be scaled and automatically once all the requests will be processed and there is no things are pending, then it will do the scale down as well. So that's a more advantage. And no server management is required. So as it say, it's in a dynamically, we have got all the scalable steps, and there is no physical servers or the virtual machines that maintained by us. All the so there is no headache of the maintaining the servers, and build based on the resource usage. As I said earlier, if you are using the particular serverless code for 3 seconds, then we will be paying only for 3 seconds. Okay. And where the serverless, there are some disadvantages of the serverless as well, as it is hosted in a different place, and it executes only for a certain periods of seconds or during the function code. So the debugging will be in a very difficult for us from the developer point of view. So that is a one disadvantages. And so initially, so we have to taken care of the security as well. So no, not everyone can access the serverless code directly, so we need to have some kind of an authentication mechanism as well as the authorization mechanism, so that we need to be implemented. But latest stages, so in Azure and all, we have an identity platform, so that is very easy to implement. And the performance impact, so as I said, so when the function executes, so that time only the server will be booted, or the functions will be deployed and it will be called. So there will be a slightly performance impact will be there when your application runs on a 24/7, as well as the as a serverless functions. Okay, in some places or in some cloud vendors, okay, so there will be a lock-in, so you cannot put the same serverless code into a different cloud vendor. So we have to stick with that particular cloud vendor because of their syntax structures and the deployment method. So that is the one of the disadvantages. And the increase in complexity architecture, so as the function, it will be in a small piece of code where a certain functionality will be executed within a simple function or in a small function. So maintaining for each one, we need to write for each functionalities, we need to write multiple functions, so that increases the complexity in the architecture. Okay, so where the serverless is good fit, okay, so the microservices, so the microservices will be in a smaller, the monolithic services will be broken down into a lot of smaller chunks, and the microservices will be developed based on a particular functionality. So serverless is very good for microservices. And if you are writing in a mobile backend API, yes, it's very good. So service integration, so when you want to send the data from one environment to the another environment, yes, that service integrations will be easy. And IoT platform, for example, you are doing a lot of stuffs with the sensor data, collecting the sensor data and sending to someone else, then the sensor will not send the data not all the time. Okay, so when there is a problem, so that time only the sensor will send the data. So that time the IoT platforms will be that will be very helpful. For example, you are having a cold storage, okay, and you are constantly maintaining the temperature. when there's a when there is a particular temperature is met, then you want to send an alert notifications to your administrator or someone. Then the IoT platforms you can implement with the help of serverless environments. So where the serverless is not a good fit, okay, so when you want to do a lot of streaming, video streaming, then the serverless is not good. And if you want to do a lot of database operations like in a transactional database, then the serverless is not good fit. And when you want to train your model for the deep learning, okay, because the deep learning models will execute run for a long time, so that time also it will not be good. Okay, sorry for the increase in the complexity that is copied from the previous ones. Okay, so there are a lot of cloud providers, they have given the serverless environments. Okay, so from the Microsoft, we have the Azure Functions, and from the AWS, so the Azure Functions is very similar to the AWS Lambda, and Apache OpenBase, Google Functions, IBM Cloud Functions, and Red Hat OpenShift Cloud Functions, all are provides a very similar functionality. So this is completely for the function side, so where you there will be a small a bit of code that will be executed, and the code will be completed. Whereas if you look at the Azure Logic Apps as well as the AWS Step Functions, they are very similar. It will do a step-by-step executions. It will do some logical operations when you want to do email approvals for for the leave approval. So those kind of things that you can do it on the Azure Logic Apps as well as the AWS Step Functions. And there is a Google Cloud Run. And we have from the Azure, we have the Azure API Management, Event Grid, Blob Storage. There are a lot of cloud service implementation, but I just kept only few just to discuss about it. And in so that's all I have. in the upcoming session, so I planned for how to develop in a very simple Azure cloud functions by using the Visual Studio and Python, by using the Visual Studio code. Then we will be seeing how we can do a unit testing, how we can do an end-to-end deployment from the development to the Azure portal. So these are the sessions are lined up. Please stay tuned. If you have any questions, please post it into the YouTube comment section. So I will be happy to answer it.
Yeah,
Thanks for
so
joining.
everyone, guys, if anyone has any questions, so just drop your question in the comment section. We'll be very happy to take up your doubts. Or otherwise, in case you are just, this is just a bit crux about an introduction about the. Okay, so sir, can you please? Okay, the last thing just I wanted to ask about the slides that you have made. Can you please share those slides so that we can share it to the community folks in the
Sure,
YouTube live
definitely
session?
I will do. Yes, definitely I will do it.
Sure, sir.
Thanks a lot. Then catch you in the next
Yeah,
session.
yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
guys. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for joining in, guys. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Let's meet in the
Thanks.
next session. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, bye.